Welcome to Free Range, where we graze on wild ideas. Backed by popular demand is the intrepid Drake Bailey for another question and answer session. You may want to make some popcorn and buckle your seatbelt. This one will be another wild ride. Here is your host, Gail of Gaia, with her guest, Drake Bailey.
Where? Uh-oh.
Good morning.
She hit the record button.
Yes, I did. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever time it is, wherever you are. This is Gail of Gaia and Drake Bailey, and we're here to discuss the latest of whatever is going on the planet. It's ever changing. So, how you do, Drake?
I'm just I'm kind of beat up. We've been having some major, I'm going to use this term loosely, altercations upstairs. And and I put some flat spots, on top of some dinks' heads and whatnot, and convinced them that they probably ought to change their ways. And they agreed and asked me, please don't hit me no more, those things. Seriously, this morning my bones hurt. So I don't know, and I only remember parts of it. I remember hitting one big one with a mountain. I picked I ripped a mountain up out of the ground and hit him with it. He quit. He says, "No, don't do that no more." So
big, huh?
Anyway,
Must have been pretty big.
who?
Whoever you hit with a mountain.
He thought he was until I hit him with a mountain. Anyway, the fun and games, that was let's see, that was number 3 of 5 different fights I had. And like I said, my bones hurt this morning when I woke up. Couldn't understand what was going on. I was kind of crotchety and I felt like I was 200 years old.
Are these the bad guys up there? Is that who you're referring to?
Oh, of course. I don't do nasty stuff to the good guys. I don't go kissing them on the cheek or nothing either. But the thing is, there is a major infestation of pirates, and I use that word a little bit loosely, but pirates, and they think they got rights to do anything they want. Now, we've taken out about a dozen of the planets that they were inhabiting or hiding out on or whatever over about the past 2 years. And the problem is that any sizable asteroid, any planet or whatever can be used as a hideout for them. So unless you want to go through every rock that is in the our field of play, then the ones that you find outside our field of play, unless you want to go, get your gummy all over all the rocks, you're not going to get them all.
Well, I can verify and confirm exactly what you said because someone else told me the exact same thing about what was going on upstairs, and there was a problem with pirates. And
five big fights we had last night up there. And like I said, when I got back down and I had slept just a little bit, and all of a sudden I'm wide awake. And I thought, no, what time is it? Oh no, that's too early. I got to go back to sleep. And I went back. I rolled up back to sleep. Sure enough, I wake up and you know how it feels when you hit your shin on something that's really hard and don't move at all, and you got this little tender spot on your bone. Well, think about your whole body being like that, and you get the feeling, you begin to understand where I was at. When I say it hurt all over, I ain't kidding you a bit. I mean, it, and it was intense too. So anyway, the pirate situation has been pretty much nullified with those particular 5 different fights. And I mean, there was a bunch of us involved. So, it wasn't just me. And When you got, see, I didn't have much, I don't have much choice about what I got to do to something to get it to cooperate. Now, you can smack them on top of the head and make a flat spot. That's one. Or hit them with a mountain so you get their attention that, you know, maybe they shouldn't have screwed with that guy and that sort of thing. But it doesn't, this is an ongoing security battle. And what's taking place is that that ET has not warmed up to the idea that maybe some of us Earthlings could, you know, give them a little break, go up, you know, give me a spaceship and watch me go. I mean, I had some fun with these bad guys. It hadn't happened yet.
Well, they're trying to, isn't it the controllers or the old controllers of the planet trying to let the pirates in to help them to maintain control?
No, can't happen. There's several reasons for that. As an example, we used to have a matrix that was nasty, and it was very controlling and a bunch of other things. And that thing got removed. I helped dismantle it. Okay, we put a new one in, and this matrix protects and defends the planet. So that is a kind of a last resort. We don't want to really test it. So consequently, it's fun to go up there and do a number on a bad guy. Oh, does it feel good when you get to do it? Anyway, so.
Why all of a sudden we have this influx of pirates?
It's steady. It's not a sudden influx. There just happened to be a bunch of them last night. That's all. And it was handled in a, let's see, I didn't have to uncreate anybody or get that at that level. I didn't have to rip anything's appendages, you know, like an arm or leg off and beat them with it. So it was actually a straight up kind of a boxing match, so to speak. They think they're all that, and they find out the hard way that I'm a lot worse than they ever thought about being because I don't fight fair.
Oh, really? What kind of entities were these?
Oh, yeah, hell, we had an insectoid. We had a minerality is the closest thing you can come to in any language on the planet that describes what it is. Think about a big rock, and they had this in a movie. I can't think of the name of the movie, but a big rock, pile of rocks comes alive and wants to beat you over the head. Yeah, well, guess what? I picked up a mountain and hit that sucker with it. Kind of scattered some of its thingies around, and it looked at me and said, "Don't do that again." I said, "Why not?" Because I'm leaving. And it went over and got on its, and I'm using this loosely, spaceship. Now, this is an envelope, like a balloon. And it climbed in there, and the thing puffed up to the right size and changed a couple colors, and it took off. And when it took off, about second and a half or so later, it went back to where that thing came from. In other words, people think that time travel or distance travel is all that, and time travel is totally different from distance travel. But when you hook up, you're over here, and where you want to go is over here. And what you do is you bring the two together, and you let go of this side, and then bingo, when it expands back, you're all the way over here. And that's primarily what it did. It went kabooby and chitty chitty bang bang and all that, and zoom. And letting it go gives a diplomatic essence to fighting that you can't get any other way. So
Wow.
I try to be nice anyway, you know.
So what do the Galactics have to say about where we're at on the planet now? Are we getting any better or closer?
Yeah, well, we'll have to see within the next, I'd say 3 to 6 weeks. We'll find out whether or not we're close enough to attaining what we are supposed to get to in order to transition. Now, there, if we're really working on things, we're taking out the bad guys, sinking the deep state's boat and all that, and taking care of the little guy, we should be fine.
It seems as though some of that is going on to a certain extent anyway.
Well, the thing about it is that when you go or move around interdimensionally, it gets interesting in that it can't be seen. You can't detect. We don't have the technology to detect something like that. And furthermore, I've had a couple people question me on the validity of going upstairs and doing this and doing that and all this. And I asked them how if they had any headache medication. And I said, what am I going to need that for? I said, because when I connect this stuff to you, it's going to hurt. Really? Yeah, you ain't used to it. It's pretty simple. And so I got them all set and ready to go. And then, boom. Now, lucid dreaming, where you're actually in the reality of whatever your dream is, this goes a step beyond that. And, well, lucid dreaming can be dreaming while you're asleep, dreaming while you're awake, etc. I had one lucid experience in a person's basement that was a friend of my dad's, his kid, and we played around with some swords a little bit and all that. And I said, oh my God. He said, what? And I put the sword down. And I said, wow. He said, what do you mean? He says, I'm seeing shit. Oh, really? What they put in your Coke? No, nothing like that. I'm seeing shit. Okay. And he said, what shit? I said, you want me to show you? And he said, sure. So I initiated the sharing part of it. And all of a sudden, he was in ancient Egypt too. Ooh, now, the proof of all this kind of screwed everybody's mind up. They, in case people don't know, they've seen some Western scenes where you got a lot of dust in the air, right? Okay. Think about the amount of dust you'd have in a desert when you're playing in the sand, doing, digging or doing what. And you get the idea as to how dusty it really is. And I said, okay, you ready to come back? And he said, oh, man, he was kind of scared of it. That's, I had been there. I had been through this before. So what I did was I simply extricated him. I said, okay, I'm going to turn it off so you ain't there no more. He's sitting in a chair going, wow. I said, well, you haven't seen wow yet, but I'm going to end mine suddenly. And when I did, it went big thump. The whole house went boom. And all of a sudden he looked around and he said, man, what the hell is this? And he's brushing dust off of himself. I brought a bunch of dust back from 8,000 BC. And Dad happened to be trying to think here, atomic chemist. And I told him what it was. And he said, bullshit. I said, take some with you and test it. He did. And he come back. I got a phone call. This is a friend of my dad's now. All right. He calls my dad and is Drake there? I need to talk to him right now. Okay. You want to know all about how in the hell I brought dust back from 8,000 BC from Egypt. I said, I ain't going to tell you. He didn't like that too well. So anyway, we was over there again and getting ready to have a cookout or something in the backyard and all this. And I finally, he's eyeballing me, keeping an eye on me. He don't know what might fall out of the sky on him or something such. So he's watching me. And I tell his son, I said, this is pretty simple. He says, what's that? Tell your dad everything's fine. I'm not going to drop nothing on him. But if he really wants to know how it's done, tell him we can meet in the basement and I'll show him. Oh, poor baby. He wasn't expecting that shit at all. Well, he got zapped. Back then, they used to use what they call a short whip to control the masses. Not a big old 6-8 footer bullwhip like we had here to control mules, but it's a shorty. It's only about 4 foot long, give or take. But boy, if you know how to use it, wow, it stings like a mojammer. Well, guess what? This one Egyptian guard wanted to know why I was hanging back. I said, that guy right there, man, you need to hit him. You need to get his attention. Really? Okay. Pop. Guess what? There was, this is Dad. And Dad said, damn, that hurt. The guy, and he was told in no uncertain terms, you will pull your own weight, whether you like it or not. Now, if you don't like being beat, bring it up to speed. And then I ended it. Okay. Now, ending something like that is one thing. Having a mark on your back from a whip from 8,000 years ago, ooh. So Dad got a taste. He said, you can do that all the time. Yeah, I try not to. He said, what do you mean? I said, well, how do you feel now that you got your butt smacked with a whip? And he said, not real good. I said, see, that's not a good idea to go playing with some things. Anyway, so that was one part of this. At any rate, I've been challenged before to do things or accommodate people, and I have managed to do that without having them get whipped. Hey, I try to be nice,
Well, that's good. Well, what else? Anything else that we need to know about what's going on upstairs, or that
Well, upstairs is applauding what's going on with the impeachment horse hockey, and that's a quote from the assistant commander for upstairs. That's a quote. They think it's pretty hilarious to watch these people fudge around and not get nothing accomplished. Let's see here. The change-ups or changes are supposed to start happening whether or not anybody really does certain things or not. So you're liable to see things go bump in the night that everybody goes, what was that? This is going to be on a global basis now. Remember that, a global basis. And there's going to be a whole load of people aware of it. You wake up in the middle of the friggin' night or all of a sudden you was daydreaming, wherever you may be, it's going to go bump. And you're going to go, whoa, what was that? That is a portion of the changeover. Now there's something else that I've been noticing too. The human frequency has gone nuts.
It is.
Okay. It has not quite got to the crescendo necessary. When it gets around, somewhere between 68 and 75 in terms of frequency, then you're going to hear an extraordinary big boom. It will rattle your teeth, the windows, etc. Might set the car alarm off. It's impossible. Hey, it's possible. Seriously. When that happens, what you can know is that the human frequency has finally gotten to the point where it could change the waveform. The waveform is critical. I don't know if too few people understand the physical ramifications of something that basic changing its waveform. It's critical to our existence. It's critical to the transition and a whole bunch of things. It will not take place until such time as humanity has the capability of handling the difference. And you're going to feel really odd, out of place, and different. And that may last for, anywhere from just a few minutes up to a few days, depending on the individual. And what?
It seems that the Schumann frequency itself, with the way it's been bouncing around, is affecting many people and how they feel and how they sleep. And
Yeah, yeah. Well, it's one of the base frequencies. I can't think of the name of that thing. The wake-sleep cycles, the differential in times of the year, and all kinds of shit are tied to the Schumann frequency. Okay, when it changes the waveform, then all of that changes over with it. Okay, the new waveform will cause biologics, animals, birds, fishes, whatever, to be a little freaky right at first. And like I said, with most of those, it's going to last only maybe just 5 minutes at the most. With some people, or the higher level or higher functioning critters, it could last, like I said, up to 3 days. It might last only just a couple hours. You're liable to have a real intense feeling of falling. You ain't falling. You're going up. What's happening is everything you're familiar with is falling away from you. All the bad bullshit stuff you've been putting up with. Well, people get to a certain age and it starts getting painful just to sit around and talk and shit. Okay, that goes. That's one of the things, among others. The true rejuvenation does not take place until ET opens that door, and that door should be open shortly after most everybody is calmed back down to a point where something really changed. I don't know what it was, but man,
What's the difference between the waveform and the frequency?
Not that much. The frequency has to go to a certain point before it can change. Changing a waveform is as easy as pushing a button, as far as that goes. Mm-hmm. But the thing about this is a transitional kind of thing. Good grief! It's a metamorphosis of our existence in its very basest form. I don't know how to express it other than it's a natural. It's a natural occurrence that happens to every one of the planets that transition. Okay, each one of them has a frequency. In this case, we call it the Schumann frequency because that's who discovered it, pretty much. You see the metamorphosis from a caterpillar in a cocoon to a butterfly. Okay, that's just about the best description I know of the intensity of what that does when it changes waveform. The frequency goes back to the normal for that waveform. It's going to be just a little bit higher than it was before, but not a lot. And like I said, some people are going to experience vertigo or whatever.
Should be interesting.
Oh, it's going to be fun when it starts happening. You will feel like your eyeballs is floating.
I'm ready.
Okay.
So, anything else you need to update us on before we start with the questions?
Well, a lot of the things that I've been alluding to in terms of what's going to happen are in process. And by that, I mean it is affirmed in terms of timeline that it's going to happen. Whether we're ready for it or not is kind of up in the air. If you can imagine the deep state and all of its minions being suddenly cut off, can't have any more impact or whatever, then you begin to get the picture of what's coming. Okay?
That will be wonderful. I'm looking forward to that.
It'd be really nice. I mean, right now we've got a whole bunch of horse hockey to deal with. It's primarily BS. It's nothing, it's nothing. Well, it's nothing of substance. Let's put it that way. Okay.
Okay. Well, you ready for some questions?
I guess. What you got?
Well, the first one's about the impeachment.
Oh, cool. Sock it to me.
Okay. Will the impeachment final vote be along party lines, or will either side lose votes?
Oh, that ought to be fun. It's going to be a combination. Already proved that today with the no witnesses. Some of the Dems voted with the Republicans. Ooh, oh my God. Ooh.
Isn't that it?
So,
Then it goes on to say, if it's a vote along party lines, I suspect the Democrats will not accept it and start some kind of problems or violence. Are the Patriots and Trump ready for that?
yeah, it's called Gitmo, and they got a space ready to go. Let's put it this way. After the impeachment, none of the horse hockey is going to be tolerated. And all of the Democrats, and I do mean all of them, have been told about this. Don't screw with it, or you might just get a one-way ticket on a flight to Gitmo.
Well, most of them deserve it. Couldn't happen to nicer folks.
Yeah.
Okay, just a comment I'd like to share with Drake. I think when politicians and other officials or groups like the police break the law, they should receive at least 6 or 3 times the punishment for breaking public trust.
I don't think so. I think they ought to just simply get a standard punishment like we would get if we did it.
Equal across the board. Well, it hasn't been equal across the board for a long time. It's been just the opposite. I guess the thinking is that since you've been trained and have
There's an answer to that. Put them flat spot on top of the head, okay? They don't want to hear protests by hundreds of thousands of people. Well, maybe somebody, and I'm going to be sending some things over to some people I know, need to start removing these dinks from office. Ooh.
Yeah, that definitely needs to happen. I mean,
Well, all you got to do is one, and all the rest of them will go, oh, don't do that to me, please.
Okay, let's see. This is, people frequently do a commentary at the same time, so bear with me. I'm going to read through it. Last time I asked about the ethical concerns related to robot androids and AIs developing sentience and using them in dangerous labor jobs and whether or not they would be like slavery. Your answer revolved around how the robots will behave, especially with us. Thank you for that. It's very reassuring to know that we won't have to deal with Terminators or battle droids.
Mm-hmm.
I was more interested to know how we will treat the robots and androids, especially when it comes to dangerous labor jobs. Is it wrong to build a smart, sentient robot android just for the purpose of being cannon fodder or fighter pilot or similarly dangerous tasks? How do ETs handle these issues?
Well, it's pretty simple. First of all, the robots are primarily immune to that, whatever dangerous situation. The things that they're not immune to would have to be handled on a voluntary basis where you ask the robot, do you want to, you're going to self-destruct if you take this job. You won't be, you will cease to exist. And then they have to decide whether the benefit of what they do is such that they're willing to do that. That's first. Secondly, you get into AI or artificial intelligence to the point where that AI becomes self-aware, then you're dealing with something along the line of a people or person, a sentient being. And a sentient being is not easily enslaved. Let's put it that way, okay? So the orders of thou shalt, you're going to comply or die, and all this other happy stuff goes out the window. It becomes exclusively the choice of that AI. After that AI makes its decision, you abide by it. Mm-hmm. There's a whole bunch of them that would dearly love to go swimming in the atomic heater we got that we know as the sun. The only problem is we don't have the technology to keep it from melting down. Well, ET does. Maybe they could get in touch with ET, get a fire suit from them, and go you know, go surfboarding on the sun, you know, or whatever.
Well, you know, actually, when you think about it, there have been plenty of times when humans have been told about a mission that needed to be completed, and it could very well be a suicide mission, and they choose to do it anyway. You know,
Yeah.
it's happened. Not that I think that's a good thing or anything like that, but depending on the issues involved and what's at stake, people are willing to put their life on the line.
Right.
Anyway, how do they treat the robots and androids, especially when it comes to dangerous jobs like the ET? They handle it, like you said, or?
Well, they design them to be able to withstand whatever it is. Okay. I don't know if anybody's watched Wall-E, the movie. You might want to pay attention to that because you have certain ones that are doing certain things continually, and they don't mind. Okay, whereas it would break the mind and body of a person or something of flesh and blood to do that sort of thing. So, you know, and I'm good at welding, so put me outside and I weld up the brakes in the ship. Zzz, bingo.
Is it possible for a jump room to be linked to multiple jump rooms that can be selected from a control panel?
That's primarily what the control panel in a decent jump room does. Okay, your destination and everything is supposed to have already been put in before you go into the jump room. Some dummies don't believe in all that happy stuff. I can name names, but I'm not going to. At any rate, there have been several people that thought they were all that, and when the dinosaurs came calling and tried to eat them, their whole attitude changed instantly at high speed. Get me out of here! Okay.
All right.
So, you know, now, one jump room is connected to what's known as the matrix of the jump rooms. Now, what the matrix, most people don't get it, but the matrix is almost unlimited in its multifacety. In other words, the facets, the little connections where the wires cross and all that, there's almost unlimited amounts of those. Consequently, when you get into the jump room matrix or system, it depends on what you put into the keypad as to where you go and when you come back and all kind of stuff. Once you learn how to operate one, you're good to go. I would not advise any cherries and dummies to go out there and play with it.
Okay.
Well, think about opening the door and having something going, rah, 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 trying to eat you.
Is it possible to encompass an entire planet in a deflector shield?
Is it possible to protect?
Yeah, encompass an entire planet.
That's what this new matrix is. What it does.
So,
very similar to that idea. Only it does it in any way it needs to do it in order to protect us. In other words,
how do the pirates get in then?
Huh?
How do the pirates get in then?
They don't.
Oh.
We blow the shit out of them before they get any close. They had one pirate that got to the point of double the distance from us to the moon. That's the closest one that's gotten here in quite a few years. Now, there are, and you got to understand, some already on the planet, and they can be ordered around to do things. And the only problem is when they run into somebody that's better than they are, you hear this real funny, and you smell a bunch of, I don't know, ozone, and sometimes there's bright lights associated with it. It varies a little bit. It depends on which kind it is and how hard you zapped it with whatever.
Wow. Is it possible to encompass an entire star system in a deflector shield?
an entire star system would mean maybe a solar system like we got. It is, but it's not done because it's not efficient.
Okay. Is it possible for a ship, space station, or building to have a deployable armor, most likely replicated, like was shown on the series finale of Star Trek Voyager?
Yeah, what you're talking about is primarily a thing where, on Star Trek they say put the shields up. Okay, well, if this is a very advanced shield system, you'd be pretty much impervious to just about anything.
Okay. How does it work to have a space, like a room or house, be larger on the inside than on the outside?
Oh, my. Okay. Soon as how you asked, I'll give you a little insight. What you got to do first is, and you got to prepare yourself for this. Now you're getting ready to enter. Okay. You have found a doorway. Don't know where it goes. Never seen one quite like it before, but you're like them cows. Oh, the grass has got to be greener on the other side of the fence. Well, let's see what we can do about that. Okay, well, what humans have a problem with is insatiable curiosity. You would do just about anything to figure out this, that, and the other so that you can flip a switch and go, ha, about that, Okay, so what it becomes is, and this is really going to screw with people, one of the manners of travel is called mass inversion. That's where you got this big thing of a lot of mass over here, and when you do the mass inversion, it changes the field so that you can be a part of this and over here. And then this slowly opens right back up like a flower. Okay, that is one form of the transfer. And the transfer can be complete. It may be something you can go back and fool with later. Varies. But what the specifics of it is that just like inverting mass, and that'll screw some physicists' minds. Can't help that. But what you can look at is that depending on your point of observation and your capability of perception, that determines the size on the inside of something that would be the size of a VW on the outside. And it's nice to be able to disguise something in a very small package. And they don't know that you've got 5,000 troops inside that ship with you. Surprise. So, it's been used commonly in ET military for, good Lord, many, many ages, put it that way. So when you look at the thing, and you'll see this on sci-fi, and the reason you see it on the sci-fi is because these people have had instruction as to how to make it look. And if they hadn't had the instruction, they wouldn't be able to do that.
Huh.
And I've seen one, I thought it was funny. Person opened the door and looked. It looked like a freaking dance hall. I mean, humongous thing in there. He closed the door, started looking around, and how in the hell, how do you do that? And his buddy, the ET, says, I ain't going to try to explain that. It's obvious to me that you don't have a clue, and it'd be really difficult to teach you all the basic physics involved in stuff that we do automatically. We don't even think about it anymore. Open the door, let's go. All right. Is it going to change me if I go in there? No. But there's some good booze at the bar over here. Come on.
Okay, next question. You said that Hillary Clinton and Michelle Obama will not run for election under threat of execution. Their current field of candidates is a joke. If they won't be running, do you know who Democrats will manage to prop up to go against Trump?
What you see is what you get, and they're a bunch of idiots. That ought to really be fun for Trump. I'm not going to say nothing else.
Well, there isn't anybody at this point in time.
Well, if I got into let's put it this way, if I got into the particulars of that, you probably would not be able to upload your YouTube any longer.
Okay, well, we don't want that to happen. So
Exactly.
Chips full as they may. Okay. Do you know if more witnesses and documents will be called for in the Senate impeachment trial?
You're not going to get no witnesses or documents. They voted that down today.
Oh, really? Okay. I doubt it, but should we be worried about Bolton testifying?
No. There's no new witnesses of any kind. Sorry.
No, okay. Because it went on to say the potential always exists for lies and subterfuge. Okay. Will we ever hear from either or both of the Bidens about their shady dealings in Ukraine and China, among other places?
Not from them directly, no, but they're being accused of it. And the prosecutor that Biden got fired is filed a lawsuit against Mr. Biden. Ooh.
Well, yeah, I should think so. How do you?
Well, think about playing proctologist with an idiot like that. Ooh, messy.
Right. Okay, will we ever hear from the whistleblower or the intelligence community inspector general about their shady dealings with Schiff that initiated this impeachment hoax?
Yeah, I found that posted on newsfeed today on Facebook and put it into Cosmic Voice. It ought to start going nuts. I'm such an I only look harmless.
Okay, yeah, that's a cute one. I like that one. Will we ever hear from Schiff about his dealings in the impeachment hoax?
Yes, and the problem is he's going to spill the beans because he's a he's a humongous wuss for starters. Second part is he wants to preserve his self, and it don't matter who he has to fry in the process. The little bug-eyed escapee from the Twilight Zone is going dump. Okay?
What a pathetic.
Yeah, well.
Anyway, you've said that cities will most likely become a thing of this past in the future, but I must ask, where will the following be located? Government offices for oversight and defense coordination, schools, research and development lab, manufacturing plants,
Well,
stores, other places of commerce, social clubs, event spaces like movie theaters, etc. Will they just be separate buildings in the middle of some?
no. What you got is a whole bunch of assumptions that things ain't going to change. I hate to pop your bubble and screw up your day, but if you want to study something out, think about a replicator in everybody's kitchen. Now, what's that going to do? You ain't going to need a kitchen anymore unless you're cooking. Okay, and most people, I know a lot of housewives, would love to be able to punch a button and have the food that somebody requests go pop. Here you go, man. Burger and fries or steak or what, okay, so that's one. Now, what all does that wipe out? Think about that very carefully, okay? Your clothes, when it's time to get fresh ones, you take your old clothes and you stick them in there and you hit the recycle button and it goes clickety click, jump bang, and then you say new ones, and you will have a little screen, okay? And there will be different styles and different colors, and you pick one of those and it goes poof, and there it is. So you're not going to need places where they have all of this stuff. You're not going to need places that retail to you any longer. What are they going to do with all them people? Well, somebody's got to distribute all those replicators. That's only a start. Somebody has to figure out a way to, and this is a trick in a way, in order to trick the commerce that we're going to have, not what we got now between just places on the planet, but off-world stuff. that means that somebody who don't mind making sauerkraut's going to get rich. Why? It's a rarity. Ooh, bread is a rarity. Ooh. I mean, so the bakeries and all this other, okay, as far as replicating food, the lack of the capability of a replicator to catch life force and imbue it into something like a watermelon or whatever, it don't taste quite exactly as scrumptious as the one that you got out of your garden. Difference, okay? However, the ones you get out of your garden can be shipped at a wee premium to Timbuktu land out there. Things that anything that is replicatable would be the things that are not fermented in any way, shape, or form. So, you know, we're going to have a lot of beef. And there's a load of ETs that just love beef. Now, what will happen, or what should happen, is the people that really got it going on will rent or beg, borrow, or steal some kind of a ship to get into where these people want beef. And they should bring with them some cattle. Then you got a business going like, no, you know, it's a whiz-bang deal. The entrepreneur idea is just simply, huh?
You mean they still kill animals to eat them?
Sure. Animal don't know the difference. A lot of people think it does. Oh, I'm going to the slaughterhouse, and a cow wants to argue about it. Well, fine.
Tears coming down their eyes when they're going up that.
They won't have to do any all that. They won't have to go anywhere. See, this is the differential between what was and what's coming. The execution or taking of the life of the critter, all right, is something that, first of all, happens so instantaneously, the critter don't feel nothing. Secondly, they're processed instantaneously almost when they're involved in that sort of a production deal, all right? Now, replicators can reproduce any kind of meat you can think of. So what we're going to have to do is simply figure out, okay, steaks, hamburgers, mutton, venison, whatever it is, the different types of meats, program it into one replicator, and then hit the send button. The send button sends it to all the other ones. So upon the death of one sheep, one pig, one cow, one duck, whatever, that's it. That's the end of it. Then all of the things that we're used to in terms of, you gotta go and mow the grass. No, not anymore. Why not? You got a bunch of critters out there that eat that. Leave it alone. Real simple.
Aren't those animals sentient though?
Huh?
I still have issues with that. Aren't the animals
Issues with what? Leaving the animals alone?
killing animals when you don't?
No. You listen closely. One of each. All right? That's all it does. Once you do that, it's done. You hit send on the replicator, and it sends all of its knowledge about what you put in it. You program a chicken wing or whatever, okay? Hit the send button, and it sends it to all the replicators. Think about that. So you only sacrifice one chicken, and then you don't ever have to do it again. Now, here's the deal.
Oh, okay, I get it now.
In Inner Earth, The Hollow Earth is the book. In the Inner Earth, they have certain special building materials. You don't have a huge place to live necessarily because you don't need all that stuff. Real simple. And what happens is that they got saber-toothed tigers and elephants and whatever wandering around out in the garden, but they don't have a garden. Now, some do. Don't get me wrong. There's a very few that do. These are the main chefs of that particular society. Now, if somebody can cook, oh, you're going to be so popular upstairs, you're not going to believe it. What do you mean? Well, I got raw alligator and I want you to show me how to barbecue it. Okay.
Wow. Okay.
Replicator produces their own meat or cooked or, you think about it, it gets pretty neat pretty quick. Now we have screwed things up. We have interfered with Mother Nature by feeding things when they should be out there strengthening themselves by having to go look for food or whatever it may be. This is a problem that we'll have to deal with in terms of bird feeders being nice to the critters. Well, hey, you toss a leg of lamb that you got out of the replicator to the jackals, and they're happier than whatever. No problem.
Okay. Here's another question along the lines of the previous one. What about things like kids riding their bikes together through the neighborhood to their friend's house to play? That won't.
No problem. Each of the individuals involved in something of that nature would be protected by guards, and the guards have a three-way setting: uncomfortable, hurts like a mother, and kills. Okay, now we don't have that in our tasers, but a taser with only one battery instead of 8 or 10 ain't gonna hurt you very much. You'll feel it and go, "Ooh, what was that?" Okay. Hurt like a bastard? Well, that's like a cattle prod. If you ain't ever been stung with a cattle prod, you got no clue. But it's enough to make you jump about. I've seen full-grown men get zapped in the butt and go up to 1.5 feet straight up in the air. Zing. They didn't bend. They didn't jump. They just zing. Oh, okay. Number 3 is lethal. Okay. Usually you can get by with a number 2 as a deterrent. In other words, a saber-toothed tiger thinks you look good for lunch. Zap. You don't look too good to me anymore. I bought a hole. Okay. Number 3 would be used only on the entities that would refuse to comply with your respectful request not to take bites out of me. I don't appreciate that. It hurts, and you ain't doing that. Bingo. Sometimes you got to kill something to get the message across. It varies.
Okay. It's back to the kids playing. It just seems very antisocial and potentially counterproductive for there not to be centralized places for people to gather for various reasons, like commerce, exchanging ideas, and socializing. I guess they're not able to see how it would be, how you would interact.
Well, I said guards, and like I said, usually once an animal's been zapped, okay, even light, where it don't hurt too much, they know that you don't fool with that. It zaps. It is, when you pick the dumbest you got, you zap it a couple of times, and it's gonna shy away from that. Simple. It's not complicated. Do what?
I said, kind of like a bark collar.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, if you have not lived. I saw some dummy. This poor dinglebat snowflake put a bark collar on and went, "Ruff!" Oh, he about shit, fell off the chair and everything. Man, he's working real fast trying to get it off. Every time I make a noise, it gets me. Well, it's the same sort of thing. Bark collar or training of animals. No, you don't eat people. You go eat those things over there. And once pointed out, hey, thanks, man. Off it goes. Now, some of these things, and this is going to be a little bit of a shock, once we transition out of 3, don't be surprised if the animals start talking to you.
That's what I was going to say. I thought we were going to be able to talk to the animals. I like that.
Yeah, well, it's a two-way street. They're going to be able to talk back. You put that food in my bowl and get what's the matter with you people? That's why I don't eat that. Ugh, or whatever.
All right, on to the next question. You said you had Muhammad in detention. Wasn't Muhammad just the prophet for Allah and thus a human, long dead?
It is a special entity. It's not human. And yes, it's in detention. It decided it was going to be in charge of a major uprising. Well, the first order of business with ETs is the prime directive, do no harm. Well, this dinglebat was going to harm everybody. And so they asked me if I'd go collect it. And I said, sure. I ought to be able to hear some pretty interesting squawking in whatever language he speaks. And they looked at me, and I looked at them, and they grinned, and I said, see ya. Went over and got a hold of him by his whatevers and stuck him in a detention pod that I have. I designed a detention pod. It's neat. What's neat about it is this. Stick something in there, any entity you can think of. Close lid and fasten the clasp that holds the lid together. Now, what happens is that those people, entities, whatever they be, find themselves in an infinity of the experiences they've had through life and where those might go. So they can be busy, extraordinarily involved in absolutely nothing at all.
But it's like
yeah, and then when I turned it loose, when I turned this one loose, it was a warrior. Turned it loose on a spaceship, put it in a detention cell. It got pissed. It finally realized what had happened to it, that it was being detained. Oh, it punched the side of the ship so hard that they tried to fix it, and I had to go repair the dent. I mean, it looked like Harry and the Hendersons when Harry has this low ceiling in the car and he pushes his head up and it makes a little dome. It looks something like that, okay? I'm surprised he didn't go through it. But anyway,
that helped.
We fixed him up.
Lighting is getting dark in here.
Huh?
It's getting a little darker out here because we usually are earlier than this. But anyway, next question.
Yeah.
If we're to become the leaders of a vast interstellar federation, why are ETs trying to make us more like them? They call us violent, yet have weapons capable of destroying entire planets. They call us stupid and laugh at us, even as they manipulate our minds and hearts with religious dogma. Yet,
we got a lot to learn.
Yet they desperately seek to incorporate our DNA into theirs. I think,
but it don't work. It don't work. They're after the capabilities we got, and it doesn't transfer that way. Okay, that's first. Secondly, we have a lot to learn. Now, I'm going to bring up the movie The Matrix. The reason I'm bringing that up is because we're supposed to have classes. Guess what them classes are going to involve? Downloads into here. It's just like on The Matrix. Buzz. Oh, yeah, I know everything there is to know about a HUD-34 helicopter. I can just fly the hell out of it. Well, that sort of ideology, okay, in conjunction with sleep learning, which has been around our planet for, since the late 40s. Think about that now, sleep learning, okay? And I'm talking about detailed kind of inference of knowledge to the extent that you actually have an experience with the knowledge. It's not like you don't know what you're doing or how this works, etc. So you're going to have classes. These classes are kind of funny because they don't really have a time frame. The reason they don't is because it depends on the individual's how thick they are as to how quickly you can transfer the knowledge to them so that they can become a productive member of the new society. The new society is going to be totally different from anything else that we've ever experienced or even thought of. It's fun, huh?
Sounds like fun to me.
Oh, it's going to be interesting. I love the idea.
I never felt like I really belonged here anyway, but
yeah, well.
But anyway, are the employees of the government people like those in the State Department who violated orders to testify in the impeachment hearings ever going to start acting like employees?
Yeah, they're going to, everybody's going to be straightened up. I'm using that loosely, but each individual goes to a place, and I'm not going to specify what it is or where, but they go to a place and they get rehabbed in terms of their manner of thinking to a point where they become productive members of society.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Okay. I keep hearing a lot of their opinions and hurt feelings. Oh, well, if they were employed in the private sector, they would have been fired immediately. Sometimes, sometimes not. Yet they still work for the government. Free speech does not apply to employees, regardless if they work for the government or not. I guess that's a commentary. Will we be able to get AI, robotoids, or hologram assistants like in that show Humans, like children of help with chores around the house?
Yes, and transhumanism is not going to happen to the human race. They will have, we will have what would be considered semi-intelligent drones, so to speak, humanoids. They look human and do what they're told pretty much without any hassle. That's going to be a big change in a lot of people's lives.
They don't even mind, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so then he went on to say, what about having one for companionship? I had a dream where I was on a spaceship.
Yes, that's available, but you got to have a very high level of cooperation between the drone and yourself before that would be available.
Okay. China is losing tons of money over this coronavirus scandal. How will this affect the GCR since they were to be in charge of the financial end?
They're not in charge of squat, first of all. Secondly, it's not going to affect the GCR because it's global. Pretty simple.
Because it's going to do what?
It's global. They're not going to have much of an effect. It's global. Big difference between one little country like China and the rest of the world.
Mm-hmm. Well, isn't it interesting, though, if you think about it? We never hear anything about what's happening in China, per se. And then all of a sudden we hear all this that's going on in Wuhan. And
I have a lot of friends in China that are high-level government people who talk to me a lot. And believe me, there's a lot of fun and games going on, and nobody will ever hear outside of China because they don't want anybody to be embarrassed. That's called losing face.
Oh, okay. When is George Bush and Dick Cheney and others going to get arrested for 9/11?
Oh, we got about 20 different countries involved in that. So you can't just pop those two. You got to pop a bunch of them, and that bunch of them is quite a number. Okay.
Kind of light. It seems like it's getting kind of dark in here. I can't read my questions as we go.
Can't read your question. Uh-oh.
Yeah, but that's better. It's better. I can see better now.
Oh, okay.
All right. Next question. Is there an AI named Kim?
Yeah. What about it?
If so, is it related to the quantum financial system?
No.
No. You found on Kim a little bit?
I've been requested not to out Kim. Now I can out some others that people don't know exist that have a lot to do with what you're talking about. One of those is a cousin to a very high-level entity known as Echo. High-level ET, and I mean high-level. The basic relationship to quantumizing something is to give it parameters. You got the two lines that run vertical, and you got little notes in between it. Okay. Now, the thing you have to understand about quantum is that it deals primarily with and is primarily held in trying to think here. Geez. I'm trying to get the word and it don't want to come out. Harmonics is the basis for quantum physics, quantum mechanics, and quantum mathematics. That means that it also thus has to deal with quantum computing and all the other quantums out there. All right?
Okay. Quantums, okay. Time seems to be speeding up. After the ascension, will we perceive time similarly?
Yeah, but you're going a whole bunch of perceptions and things that we notice are going to literally go cattywampus, sideways, upside down, fly across the room, and in some cases scare the crap out of the cat, or your sleeping husband's going to feel these sensei, and he wakes up and he says, "What the hell? There ain't nobody here." Well, guess what? Same thing's going to happen to ladies. The fun is almost unlimited in terms of what they can do when you transition. The transition process itself would take several years of physics training to understand. So there you go.
Oh boy. Okay. Will we be able to speed up or slow down time?
Oh yeah. I do that to entities to confuse them.
Okay.
I'm big and bad, I bet. You don't even remember what happened tomorrow, let alone what happened yesterday, and then and just a few minutes ago, you forgot who you were. And the poor bastard's going, huh?
Huh? I can relate. Sometimes I just go, huh? Okay. Anyway, ask Drake if we are going to get any help from ETs with this man-made virus. Compliments of Bill Gates, who holds the patent.
Possibly. We'll have to wait and see. Bill Gates can be nailed to a barn door and tortured into telling about the little bottle of fix that he's got that he took some of. Oh, you mean it gets rid of it? Oh, it do. Now, if you take that little bottle and you go in and you tell Bill that you want a few gallons of it to spray a certain area, I guarantee you, when you set certain things on fire, an individual will tell you anything you want to know. As long as you don't start that fire again, you're good.
All righty then. Okay, I get the picture. How many pounds of popcorn do you recommend we store up before we recognize this coronavirus is the prelude to the slaughter that is finally coming our way, and we realize that we are next, thus the show is over? Now that's
10 pounds will do it, and the show ain't over, and this is not the ending, and it ain't a whoopee, everybody's gonna die or any of that.
That's what people, one of the things that I think is really important is to stay out of fear, because fear will lower your immunity and increase your susceptibility to any kind of virus. So
fear is false evidence appearing real. Now, there's several things about this. This bioweapon has a cure. Why do I say that? Well, do you really think that the oligarchs that had this made are going to sit there and get ate up by it? Do you really think so? I don't.
I don't either.
Okay. Like I said, nail Bill Gates to a friggin' barn door and let me ask him a few questions very nice and politely. And I guarantee you that I'm going to say under 3 minutes, the boy will tell you anything you want to know.
It's amazing that, under the nefarious nature of some of the things that have gone on by some of these characters, that they're still walking free.
I'm surprised they're still alive.
I mean, it's amazing that somebody hasn't taken them out. But anyway.
That may be coming sooner than you think.
Okay. How come these people continue to screw around with our planet without our approval? I bet. I bet you anything, if this was up for a vote, we, the people, would respect it and it would allow it to continue. When is this crap going to end?
There's several endings in respect and retrospect to that. One of the fastest, not best, one of the fastest ways to end problems like that. You can stick a bullet anywhere in these areas here, and it just sort of disconnects that person from life, among other things. Now, I don't advocate violence. However, there are some dinks out there that have the mental capacity of a 3-year-old. Okay, these are adults, but are also dyed-in-the-wool, absolute, positive sociopaths. I'll kill anybody I can get my skin. Well, this is the kind of dink that bullet's for. All right, now Bill Gates has never been attacked. I checked. He's never been attacked. Maybe somebody that's a really good shot could give the boy a little lesson in either act right or I will shoot you. Now, this is after passing several bullets through the glass in his house, his car. I mean, you know, there's a lot of places you can shoot, not hurt nobody, and scare the living shit out of the people that live there.
Yeah, and I know people that they do that too, or they show them pictures of they know where they are and things like that. In order
yeah, well.
Yeah. It's kind of like turning the tables. Okay. Somebody's asking about geoengineering. Is it ever going to change? Are they ever going to stop?
Well, no, what we're going to do is we're going to change it's going to be altered from the profiteering and disregard for the rest of everything over to the way it should be. Okay?
Okay. The USMCA will establish a new unelected governing bureaucracy, the Free Trade Commission, which will oversee many local regional committees as per the UN Agenda 2030 through their Soros-funded committee members all over the country to get their
hockey
implemented. Okay. I thought that was going someplace with a question, but
it does, and what it does is it stipulates that we have sold our soul to the United Nations and other entities of that nature. Well, the problem with that is that no, didn't happen. The reason it didn't happen was Trump. Everybody might not like that, but tough shit. Get over yourself. Get a life. To learn to open your eyes, and I don't mean woke. I don't mean to somebody else's political agenda. I mean woke up to the reality of what's actually happened. Trump could not, bear this in mind, could not sign such a deal were that the fact. Not allowed to. Okay? If he did, he would be summarily executed. And he knows it. So that didn't have the idea of selling out to the UN and, we're going to have all these people in charge of shit. I'll tell you what's in charge of something. The farmers, the dairy farmers in the United States can now trade in Canada or Mexico as they so choose. That's who's in charge. Well, where do you go with that? I like the beans. And a lot of people are going to take this the wrong way, and I don't really give a shit. I like the beans from Mexico. Now, you can be a beaner or whatever the hell you want to be called. I don't give a shit. What I care about is that there is something about the soil composition and the manner in which the environment acts that causes them to have the very best beans I've ever had, period.
Well, they certainly have maintained their corn crops and the varieties available more so than has been done here, because they did not allow GMO corn for the longest time. I don't know if that's been slipped in the past few years, but anyway,
No, where the crux of all that lies is with Indian corn. You can't screw with it genetically or it doesn't produce. Pretty nice. So if you want to grow Indian corn, you got it. Now it'll be multicolored. Won't be that nice, pretty yellow little thing, but it'll be about 10 times as nutritious for you.
Yeah. I don't have a problem with Mexico myself. I kind of like Mexico. Anyway, Drake, when are you going to admit that the U.S. Constitution and the Republic are already going down the drain?
It ain't, can't. If it does, everything ends. And by that, I mean everything. So everything the government is and or supplies to everybody stops. And then I'm telling you, that ain't going to happen.
It's not going to happen because America is setting the stage for the rest of the planet. And we go down, we all go down, and that ain't going to happen.
Now, the reason is that a lot of the rest of the world is based on our Constitution. So if our Constitution went down, all of theirs would, and you'd have a government-less planet, and that would be a mess. Why? People think anarchy is, ooh, I can go out and do anything I want. Want to bet? One of your neighbors will shoot you if you act like that. That's why the politicians want to take your guns away. They want to get your guns because they're getting ready to do something they normally would be shot for. Not difficult to understand this. You go messing with little old ladies, and I guarantee you that some of them little old ladies got a surprise for you in their purse. You know, or the guy helping them down the stairs just happens to have a 50 caliber handgun on his hip. Oops.
Yeah. Just like the guy in the church that one time where that other guy came in there and was going to,
Yeah. So sorry about your shit. Bang.
Okay. How come these people continue to screw around with our planet without our approval? I'm not sure.
Continue to do what?
They're screwing around with our planet without our approval. I'm not sure what he's talking about.
Well, the ETs are adjusting things, I can tell you that. But the approval for that comes in the later times as things come out a lot better than they would have if they were left alone naturally.
Will the global currency reset assist in addressing the issue of ridiculous, exorbitant insurance premiums, which is difficult for many of us to afford, let alone live in a place?
Okay, guess what? We ain't gonna need insurance anymore.
Thank you. I'm happy to know that.
You just ain't gonna need it. Okay, certain things are gonna be done that will take care of a whole bunch of that sort of problem. Okay.
Awesome. Okay, Drake, what intel do you have, or any, in terms of what will be affected on and after the January 31st date when the U.S. declares bankruptcy because of our debt? What
you think? Well, I got, this is Eastern Standard Time. I got about 10, 12 after 8. So we got less than 4 hours to find out, don't we? Oh, does that mean that you're going to have to get the seat belt out and fasten it to your office chair or to the couch or what? I mean, ooh, this is a whoopee. Everybody's going to die. What happens if we don't declare bankruptcy? You give them the finger. Hey, central bank, screw off. What happens? Okay, well, I can tell you what's about to happen, but I'm not. They want me to wait until it's a little bit closer. So within the next, this is Friday, by about Wednesday or Thursday of next week, I should have a better idea. And I will spread the word.
All righty then, okay, we'll find.
Oh, and by the way, here's another thing too. I finished up a website that I'm starting, and I'm going to send you a link to it when we're done with this. I think you might like it. It's pretty interesting. It's called The Church of the Muzzle Flash. Ooh.
Interesting. Okay. I like that. Okay, Drake, what is going to happen to the stock market and stock markets around the world with this coronavirus and claims that it has come to California and other states? What will it mean for our economy and the world's economy and all this quarantining taking place?
It's going to go.
Right out, right?
No, it ain't going to fall over. If it was going to fall over, you would have seen 6,000 points come off of the Dow instead of 600. Come on now, get real. Look at what's there, and how much is 6 out of 28,000? Think about that very carefully. Ain't much. 1%, a little more maybe. What is 1 penny on the dollar going to affect you so adversely about? Oh, damn, I got to pay 11 cents for a bubble gum now. Shit. Get a life. Lord have mercy.
Okay, I'm saying that this coronavirus thing is just going to fizzle out. That's what's going to happen with that.
Like I said, nailed Bill Gates to the barn door and let me have at him for about 2-3 minutes. I guarantee he'll tell you anything you want to know.
All they would have to do is, put a little mixture in the chemtrails up there and let it sprinkle down, and everybody's got immunity. So
they've been doing bioweapons from the chemtrails for about 3 years now. Bear that in mind. Think about it very carefully.
We humans are pretty tough. I'll have to tell you that.
Yeah.
I fall by the wayside, but a lot of us don't. What is your opinion regarding Trump's new peace plan for the Middle East, which denies the Palestinians sovereignty?
Well, the problem is that it doesn't. Everybody likes to think it does, but what it does is it causes, and this is going to be fun, it causes Israel, of all places, to recognize the Palestinians and that they might be able to govern themselves. Oh my God, want to screw things up? Try that one.
Can they get Israel to stop killing the Palestinians and shooting children and jailing children and doing all these horrible things?
Once they get rid of Nutcase, they probably will. Now, Netanyahu finally got formal charges pressed against him just the other day for doing those very things that they don't think is cool. Oops.
Good.
Yeah, what happens if Nutcase is gone?
Well, that would help.
Hey, seriously, you want to know something about Israel? Look at who replaces Netanyahu if he is abdicated.
Good. He needs to be replaced. He's not a nice person. Okay, the quantum shift show implies that the stock market will not crash and that there is no need to buy gold or silver. Would you please comment on that?
Oh, somebody's full of shit somewhere, ain't they? I'll say it again, 1%. That's 1 cent on a dollar. How many people are going to be running to their proctologist? I got a pain in my whatevers. Nobody is. The stock market's not going to crash. Not yet. Now, it will vaporize at a certain point in time, go poof. So,
but at that point in time, it's not going to matter to us, correct?
Exactly. We will already have transferred ourselves over to a cashless society. Therefore, we cannot be affected by some kind of pie in the sky horse hockey that's designed to make money and not do anything else.
Yeah, and total disregard for humanity in the process.
Absolutely. And then some.
That has what has happened over the years with this corporatocracy. Okay, how many pounds of, did we ask this one? This is another question about how many pounds of popcorn do you recommend we store. Before we recognize this is the preview to, they asked that question.
Well, that's simple. All you have to do is understand that anything between, you're going to love this, 5 and 50 pounds will fit whatever appetite you got.
Well, what they're doing is they're buying into this doom and gloom scenario that we're all going to be killed. Okay, it's not going to happen. It's not.
Popcorn makes it all better.
It's just not going to happen. You got to do something to uplift people's. Stop buying into this fear porn that
Well, I used to do something on these shows that was doing, and that is that uh, we need to wash our flag. Got's politics on it. Okay, that's one. The second one actually turned into something. We need another Tea Party. We haven't thrown enough politicians in the water. And now you got the Tea Party patriots and all that happy shit.
I'm all in favor of tar and feathering them.
Oh, no. Seal them in a pot. Seal them in a pot of glue that ain't quite full. That'd give them something to do.
Oh, okay. Is it really true that QAnon has no outside communication?
Yes.
Are you a star seed?
Actually, I precede the star seeds. I was here before creation happened. If the star seeds want to look into it, tell them to look up RED, R-E-D.
Okay. I know the answer to this one already, but do you have out-of-body experiences?
Oh, of course.
Everybody does. They just don't know it because they do it at night, whether they know it or not.
Well, no. Now, here's the deal.
Okay.
Remember them books I give you? We need to do a little whoopity-doo in terms of studying them because they lead you into all of this. The very first book, the recipe book,
Yep.
that cooks your brain. Well, guess what? It also cooks your capability to go from here to over there in a psychic form or spiritual form. It's not difficult. The only problem is be sure that some dummy don't have one of those resuscitating jump starter thingies, because your heartbeat and your respiratory rate goes down to a point where we can't read it, and they're going to think you dead. Well, let's see if he's still alive. Bring the truck over to the window and get the jumper cables. We're going to hook him up.
Okay.
Lord have mercy.
Oh, here. There are at least 4 different Cosmic Voice Facebook groups. Which one is yours? How many members does it?
The one that says Cosmic Voice and has a picture of stars on it.
Yeah. They said that there's a bunch of other ones. I have to check that out. I haven't seen it. I mean,
there are, but they're not valid. They don't have any information, and some of them are just basically storefront.
okay. Did the people from the military really tell Donald Trump in 1968 that he will become president at some point in the future?
Yes.
Okay.
That'll screw some people up.
Yeah. If the Anunnaki didn't come to Earth from another planet called Nibiru, then where did they come from?
Oh, they came to Earth, and the problem is that it's not Nibiru that they came from. So you have to get the auxiliary name and then go look that up. Okay. And the Great Destroyer, Nibiru, doesn't exist. Ooh.
Did Zechariah Stitchin intentionally misinterpret the Sumerian cuneiform tablets concerning their origin?
No. I would suggest that if a person who is versed in that only changes 1 or 2 words, and you check out those words, you'll find that those are like this, then, that. In other words, nothing of intrinsic importance to the basis of the literature involved. Sitchin was correct. Now, he based his mathematical investigation on something you're going to love about this. It's called the prime number cross. You guys want something to do? Go look that one up. Then you got the other part. The numbers that don't exist. One, you have a number, then you got a knot in the middle of it, and then you got a fraction on the other side. What happens if you decide to make it into a true number? Ooh, true number is where you never have a fraction because fractals don't exist. Bear that in mind. You have 1.0.1. And that goes along with Joachim and Boaz. Look that one up. I'm having more fun. I don't know what to do with.
I'm going to have to
You're going to who?
in a minute here. But while you answer this question, okay, I got to make the dog stop barking. If the physical chimera group can look like anyone or anything, then how do you recognize them, let alone fight them? Who or what can win against them?
Anybody that can see psychically can detect them, and anybody who has that psychic capability also can defend themselves against such and defeat them in battle. Did you kill the puppy?
Yeah, no. They were scratching on the door and making noise, so I had to let them out.
Okay. So what the situation is that anybody can, this is why I recommend reading my books. It gets you to the point where you can see these things. You know what it is before you get there. Number two, it gives you the capability on a psychic basis. If you can see, you can also fight back or defend yourself. Bingo.
All right. Okay. Now, the chimera group, I read somewhere that they were spider-like. Is that true?
That they were what?
In their natural form, they're like spider-like.
Yeah.
That's true?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I doubt you'll ever see one in that form because they know that a lot of it scares the crap out of a lot of people, so they try to hide that.
I can see why. Okay.
Well, they want to sneak up on you so that they can bite you on the neck or whatever, eat your brains or something. Huh?
How big are they?
They vary. Sometimes, this will screw with everybody. Every lady in the whole world really needs to hear this. You really need to pay attention. Guess what? Some of them little bitty creepy crawlers that you see in the house is one of them. Ooh.
Oh, well, you know what? People think I'm crazy, but I talk to spiders and I ask them to please.
Well, if you find one of your dogs eaten, what did it?
Oh my God!
All you gotta do is look around for a spider. Just look around for a spider that's a little bitty and should not be that fat. Like this fat, and you'll know what did it. I recommend breaking all their legs and letting them sit there and starve to death, but that's just me.
Yeah. Okay. Will the coronavirus spread out of proportion or will become a nothing burger? Nothing burger.
Probably more or less a nothing burger eventually.
Okay. We're already in agreement on that one. Okay, last week was supposed to be a week to remember with a shot heard around the world according to QAnon. Is this supposed to be about former basketball player Kobe Bryant's helicopter crash?
No. Shot heard around the world is the first shot of the Civil War back in the day. And the second shot was delivered very perfectly. And that was that there was no violence in Virginia at the State House when everybody showed up, to include Antifa and a bunch of other nasties, all right? What was neat was they actually turned around and picked up their own trash. So there were no bills coming in to, hey, man, we had to get the street sweeper out there. Well, guess what? The only thing that the city had to provide was a shitload of trash bags.
That's awesome.
The people that went actually picked the trash up. So, and there was no, the police, some of the police who were sitting in their vehicles actually went to sleep. Well, there's nothing going on. They're not hollering too loud, other than the theme. The theme was very simple. We will not comply. We will not comply. We will not comply. Well.
Okay. Let's see. A few years ago, kilometers of plasma toplet bombs in altitude around Earth were being cleared quite quickly. The fewer toplet bombs there are, the slower they are to be removed. Now they are clearing the last 3D meters off of the toplet bombs. Why is that? Now they are clearing the last.
Got a bark collar for that one?
Yeah, I don't know what's not working. Might have to tighten it up. It was working before, anyway.
Anyway, I didn't get that question. We had dogs and shit going off. Try again.
Sorry. Now they are clearing the last 30 meters of toplet bombs for a year now. Why is that? Like, why is it? It seemed like they cleared a whole bunch of them initially, and now with the last few, it's taking a long time. Why is that?
That's a good question. I'll leave it unanswered.
Don't have an answer for that one. Okay.
I got answers that I'm not allowed to give. Okay.
Okay. Everyone is saying Donald Trump created Space Force to bring about disclosure of ETs and secret technologies. Cobra is saying that U.S. Space Command was created not to bring disclosure, but to be a chimera defense force against Galactic Confederation. Who is right?
Well, the Galactic Confederation is not the problem. The problem is the lack of control that has not been exercised over our secret space program run by NASA. So what you end up with is the reason that you have suddenly an initiation of the military space program is so that they can disclose what's really going on, technologies they have, and things of that nature. Now, you're not going to get it all at once. You're going to get little snippets. You're going to be able to see, and this is going to really blow your mind. You're going to actually be able to see spacecraft landing and regular old humans in a special NASA suit come walking out there, and then you're going to say, "Where'd you come from?" Oh, about 150 light years that way. Oh, really? Yeah. You want to make the trip? I've got bologna sandwiches on the ship and everything.
Okay, it says, why would Cobra post truth mixed with disinformation if he is wrong about Space Force? Who is he trying to deceive?
Well, you got to know who Cobra is. You got to know who Q is. You have to understand that a lot of this stuff comes from military intelligence agencies and or sisters to them. So, you may or may not get decent information out of any of them. Pretty simple.
They tell you what they want to tell you.
Yeah. It's like, what does it mean? Sorts of foul? Oh, good Lord, man. Naval intelligence out of Langley. What more does it take? I mean, I can ID the locations of these guys, but they've asked me not to, and I'm going to ask them to shut up. See what that does.
Okay. It says here, Drake mentioned not to eat pork. Long ago, I read that the Anunnaki who changed our DNA and made slaves loved the taste of us human flesh so much that they were losing too many slaves. So what they did, isn't that nice? They ate us, okay. So what they did was take a feral or wild boar, combine most of our DNA with a food that tasted like us to keep them from decimating their worker slave population, making the hogs on the inside as close to humans as you can get. Yeah. Is this true? And why should we eat any pork?
Well, the reason I suggest that you don't eat pork is because it's too close to human flesh, and at one time or another in the near future, we have the possibility of turning carnivorous against each other. That's not too great, but you got to understand that. Well, it's a possibility. If things don't go the way they're supposed to, and there's no intervention, that means that society as a whole is going to fall over. What does that mean? That means that you do not have any authority or standard to conduct yourself by. What does that mean? Pretty chaotic is what that means. Every man for himself. You ain't got a gun, you're screwed. It's not difficult. But what you have to understand is that the reason you don't eat pork is because it's too close to human flesh. Okay. The reason they stipulated biblically that you should not eat it was because they did not have a way to preserve it correctly. And it would go bad and you wouldn't even notice it until you're dead, or about to die. So those two basic reasons. That's it.
Well, there was also a neurological disease that was going around with any of the people that were working with pork in a plant in Minnesota a number of years back, and
swine flu.
Were getting really sick.
I've never seen a pig yet that had the flu, so.
Anyway. All right. Another Space Force drone was down today, sliced in half over Afghanistan by a Tic Tac UAO. Is in Afghanistan that is otherworldly. What are these UAOs trying to do or protect?
Well, there's a whole bunch of things right in that area that nobody wants to be found, and some of that is extraordinarily advanced technology. There are black cubes. There are cubic buildings. There are small, and these are similar to pyramidic. They're not quite pyramidic, but they're similar. And there's also the, the caves that we shouldn't go into simply because we don't understand what happens to us when we go in there. That's, it depends on how far you want to go with it as to what you end up with. Pretty simple.
What about portals or stargates?
That's what I'm talking about. Portals and stargates. Portals are easy because they can be a cave. Stargate's something altogether different in terms of most of them have been removed or moved from their original location. All the clues and evidence, and you go over here and do this and do that, won't work simply because the Stargate has been moved out of there. The reason they were moved around is so that some idiot from the human race would not go in there and say, "Ooh, that's a hell of a weapon," and start throwing people in the hole, Turn it on, I'll see push him in there, see where he goes. Anyway.
Okay, next question. In Wuhan, what are they really trying to contain? Airports are open, flying both ways. Something stinks.
No, they're not open. They closed them. Now, there is an area that's right close to that is off limits to anybody. That's been stipulated in ancient writings and a bunch of other things. There are areas where emperors were buried and things of that nature. You don't screw with them. Okay.
There are a couple of biolabs there in Wuhan too.
You name it, it's there.
Yeah. Okay. These accounts with the name of White Spiritual Boy have been set up in all banks around the world. Are these accounts connected to the global collateral accounts in any way?
No. And most of them have been closed and cleaned out. Okay. The guy was basically a sham artist.
Another one, huh? Okay. With
No.
all the earthquakes happening around the world, are they related to the destruction of the underground bases?
Some are, most not. And yet you have changes in plate location. If you blow up something over here, sometimes it'll relieve or alleviate some of the pressure. Then you get a little movement. Okay, in terms of earthquakes and volcanoes, there's a little old thing called weather wars. It's been around since forever, and guess what? They've had earthquake machines just about as long as that place has been open. So don't be surprised. That's what happened to Haiti. They missed. They're aiming at Cuba. Now, I don't know who screwed that up, but I would imagine that he's probably on latrine duty on some star system somewhere. Well, that would be, appropriate.
Okay. Is it true that the letter J only came into being in the English language in the 15 to 1600s?
No, it's been around a lot longer than that.
Okay. If people have 401ks, etc., will that money be added to the cashless hard system, or will everybody have the same amount?
Well, no, you'll have it's called it primarily deals with the equities involved in what a person needs, and you got up here at the top, you got their greeds, what a person needs and what you can give them. Okay, some of what's on the top will be spread to others so that they can be raised up as well. It's not going to be a thing where everything you got goes in the pot. It's going to be a thing where, yes, there will be some adjustments, but the cards we will have precludes a cash society, okay? And secondly, it's going to get charged up every month. So, you probably, if you have something like that works and works well, don't need a retirement account. Yeah, you busted your rump for 50 years to get that pile and now guess what? It don't mean nothing. Oh.
Yeah, it's so hard for people to wrap their head around that kind of thing. They just can't seem to perceive.
Well, people that are really in need have greater needs than the people that don't have any needs at all. That'd be going from up here at the very top and bringing it down a little bit. What does that do? Well, you may not have all of the housekeepers you'd like. Whatever,
You might not have 3 or 4 different houses that you only can occupy for short periods of time.
That too. Like any of the leading presidential candidates on the Democratic side.
Yeah.
Hey, I got to have a little fun with politics.
Okay. It said that this virus is patented. We already know that.
It is.
Will ET intervene before it goes worldwide and destroy the planet's inhabitants?
We hope so. If not, we'll start screaming and see what happens.
Yeah, I'm sure it's already.
Oh my God, I got toe fungus. Oh, help me.
It's already in process, I'm sure. Anyway, people have got to not buy into the fear. That is a big thing. Okay, you mentioned last week that you were able to read the archives in the Vatican. I have read that the books and scrolls from the Library of Alexandria were taken to the Vatican and not tossed to the fire.
Yep.
I understand that only census and tax records were burned. Is that true?
Yes. And the reason I can say that is that the royal librarian is the one that allowed me access to the Vatican archives. Ooh.
Okay. Well, I have come to the end of the questions that I was able to.
Really?
There's still
Why?
more questions, but I try to keep it to a reasonable length of time.
Okay, that's cool. I need to go smoke and use the bathroom and a few other basic necessities.
Well, that's fine with me. I usually need to do the same. And
Okay.
I want to thank you for your time and for everything else. If you have anything to add before we call it a night, just let me know. Or just say so. Anything else?
I think we're all right with where it's at. I don't want to take it any place further than what we got.
All right, sounds good. Well, thank you everyone for listening. Thank you, Drake, for your time and energy.
You're welcome.
And
Now let's see here. Where are we at? Oh, I got this little thing. It says leave meeting.
yeah,
Clunk.
I'll do that too.
Now I got another one that says leave meeting.
Okay.